Arsenal go back to the top of the Premier League, clear of the defending champions by a point, courtesy of Kai Havertz. The much maligned £65 million signing has his greatest moment so far in an Arsenal shirt. He scores a last-minute winning goal, paying back a very small percentage of that transfer fee. What he did in those dying moments, I think, is his best skill set. Arriving late into the box, being dangerous in the air. He just needs to learn to be more clinical. I thought the way he was utilized today is exactly how he should be utilized in this Arsenal team. An excellent cross from Bukayo Saka. And Arsenal, there'll be a sense of relief. There's no doubt it. With the away fans over there in Brentford, everybody in North London, and Arsenal fans all around the world. But when you win like this, you win like champions. When you win like this and you persevere and you go through adversity in the games, trials, tribulations, when you actually look fairly stale up front, when there's a dryness to the attack, how are they going to get over the line here? There's no way they're picking up 3 points. How can a team hoping to win the Premier League perform like this? And then you get those moments of magic. And we have seen it over the past 30 years from Pep Guardiola, Klopp, Jose, Conte, Fergie. We've seen it from all of their teams. They just managed to be able to muster up enough quality to win so many of these tight and these close games. Now, there's some individuals to shout out in this. First of all, Kai Havertz gets the winning goal. Must be credited for that. It was difficult. It was an acute angle. Had to head the ball down. He got it between the goalkeeper's legs. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. There's no doubt about it. I thought he came on and he really, not just the goal made an impact, but I kind of felt like he just imposed himself. He was getting involved within a minute or so of getting on. He was running into the channels. He was linking up play. He did very, very well. I want to shout out the two centre-backs tonight for Arsenal. I thought Gabriel and Saliba, again, were absolutely top class. Absolutely top class. Barely a foot put wrong all night. One of the best centre-back pairings in Europe. Arguably the best in the Premier League. And they were just flawless. I also want to shout out Zinchenko as well, who often gets ripped apart for his defensive displays. And that block off the line in the 80-odd minute of the game was so pivotal, because without it, there's no way 3 points come. And again, it's defensive awareness that led to that. His overall performance was good, but that moment there, that's like a goal scorer scoring a goal. It's like a goalkeeper saving a penalty. And then I think I have to shout out who I think was man of the match today. Again, for the umpteenth time this season, Declan Rice. What a performance it was from him. And the word I would use to describe Declan Rice tonight is imperious. You do have that brilliant partnership between Gabriel and Saliba behind him. But they are so well protected, so well shadowed, so well looked after by Declan Rice. He also progresses the ball well. He also maintains possession. And as the game went on and the game got deeper into time, he got more involved in the attack. And he was pivotal to the goal. Just as we saw earlier on today with Gravenberch, where he drove past Rodri, broke the first line that led to Liverpool's equaliser against City. That is what Declan Rice did for their winning goal today. He just starts so much for Arsenal. He's so strong. And there's been so many players that have been purchased for that 90, 95, 100, 105 million pound mark over the past decade who have struggled to live up to that expectation. He is one of the best players in that price bracket I've ever seen, because it's pretty much every single game. The minimum you're getting is a 7.5 out of 10. If not, it's 9s and 10s plus. Sorry, 8s to 9s plus. And it's very early. He's got to maintain this. Of course he does. But another top class performance from Declan Rice. And look, if I was awarding the man of the match, I'd probably give it to Rice. I feel like giving it to Kai Havertz because that was such a clutch, pivotal, an integral moment at the end. It really was. And of course, it's the goal. And the goal is what wins you the game. I know it's not a cliche. It's the absolute truth. And I know, but I don't like to often give out man of the match. You remember you used to play FIFA? Maybe the computer game is still the same. Where when I used to play FIFA as a kid, whoever scored the most goals typically got given man of the match. But sometimes the player on the pitch for you that played the best, like the midfielder that was just dominant, never got a mention. So I don't often like to give man of the matches out just for goals. But so Declan Rice for me takes it. But look, it's not the most perfect performance from Arsenal. It's not a performance which I think is going to live long in the memory of Gooners forever and a day. But at the same time, this is just an Arsenal team that I still think has got a gear to go up. This is an Arsenal team that when I look at Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, Odegaard, we all know they can play a lot better than this because we've seen them do it. So as much as I understand if you're a Gooner, you're probably watching this and there's the element of you that's frustrated. Why can't we move the ball faster? Why can't we play quicker? You know, what's wrong with us to a degree? We don't feel like the same team as last season. And I can totally empathize with that thought process. And you're emotional about your club. You're living every moment. You're living every kick. For 60% of the game, 70% of the game, I was lying on my sofa chilling. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. It makes no significant difference to me. So I understand you view it very differently. There is an emotional connection, which I do not and will not ever have to another football club. But they will click into gear at some point. A lot of people have made it out as though Kai Havertz being in your team is what's kind of nullified your attack. Well, there's two things at play today. One, well, that's now been debunked because at the end of the day, Kai Havertz didn't start, and there was still a flatness and a dryness to the attack for large parts of the game. I think what you've also got to factor in, though, is that Brentford are a very hard team to break down. They work exceedingly hard at getting back into shape, and it's difficult to. And I think what's starting to happen to this Arsenal attack at times, and you had a counter attack about 36, 37 minutes into the game, 4 versus 2. Ball gets played through to Saka and it hits his heel. That seemed to happen on not just on counter attacks, but on attacks regularly. You're in a good position. You need one touch out your feet, cross a ball or pass a ball or try through ball, and it gets caught under somebody's feet or it deflects wrong or somebody slips. And I think there's a bit of nervousness that's creeping in. And I believe what these Arsenal players need, they do need criticism at times, but I just think they need support. I just think they need you are going to do it in a minute. Keep your chin up, keep your head up. It's going to come together. Defensively, you're the best in the league. Only 10 goals conceded this season. Ramsdale, he could have ruined that for you tonight on a few occasions, but didn't happen. But you've got the best defense in the league. That is a fact. No one can debate it. You've got one of the best DMs in the league. From a control point of view, you're running games. It is a statistical fact that you allow less progression against you. So you allow less progressive attacking moves against you than any other team in the Premier League. That all the data was released on it this week. And if you actually watch with your eyes, Arsenal are very hard to break down themselves. And look, Brentford did a good job on the counter a few times today. There's no doubt about it. But when you compare it to everybody else, every other team is opened up far easier. The attack will click back into gear. There has definitely been a change and an approach to how the manager wants you to play. And I've said it all year. I think you're being more reserved on purpose. I think there'll be a bit of an explosion later on in the season. And I do think you may have a player or two that is slightly out of form, which is natural and normal. People go through peaks and troughs in their career, especially your young players. The Sakas and the Martinellis, yes, they've been around a few years, but they're still babies. In the grand scheme of their careers, they are still what you would call in the fledgling phases. Now, I know there's a lot of gooners that want it to be perfect and scintillating and amazing every single week. It isn't always going to work like that. Winning the way you did today, it should feel brilliant. I can't tell you how to feel. I won't ever tell you what you should think and feel. But your team is top of the league. You're likely to get a result in the Champions League with midweek, which puts you through to the latter stages of the Champions League. You're top of the tree. And what's really interesting is at the end of last season, the rhetoric was We will not be top of the league after 10, 11, 12, 13 games next season. We've blown our chance. And here you are back on top again. If that doesn't fill you with confidence, you know you guys can play better attacking football than this. There's proof of that. It's tangible. I think it will click back into gear. And if you do go into the market in January and buy somebody else, that gives you an extra string to your bow. But overall, look, it wasn't vintage Arsenal. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't vintage Wenger Arsenal. But if you ever watched, if you're old enough to remember Arsenal before the Arsene Wenger era, 1-0 to the Arsenal is what you were all about. So this is almost like your original heritage, if that makes sense. But it wasn't scintillating, swashbuckling, and amazing. But it's what champions do. They get the job done. And winning it like that will galvanize. Keeping a clean sheet will galvanize. Kai Havertz, you could see there was relief in him. Not like the penalty. That goal will genuinely give him confidence moving forward. Go get your Champions League knockout position taken care of midweek. Go back for your next Premier League game, which I'm not too sure who that is against. We'll check that in a minute. I'm sure you guys in the comments know who you play next. But you sit top of the league, 27 goals scored, only 10 conceded. The joint most amount of wins in the league this season as well on 9. Nobody else has as many as you other than Manchester City, but you're a point ahead of them because they've lost one more game than you. Going to go to your comments here. They are not champions, mate. No, that isn't what I said. I didn't say the champions. It says champions win. Terry, you can wear the shirt. We all know it's okay. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Cheers. Lee Gunner fuming that Havertz goal is really weird. No, listen, I'm going to do my fan channel review tomorrow, but there's no way Lee Gunner was angry at him scoring. I don't believe it. Lee wants his team to win. Terry, calm down. Arsenal has to go to Anfield on the 23rd of December. Yeah, listen, they're top of the league. My title of the show says Arsenal go top, Havertz wins it. Where have I said the league's over? Calm down. So far, 100 million well spent is what AMG says. You're spot on, bro. It is 100 million well spent. Speaking of millions, now, it's over now for this weekend, but did you all play golden goals? And if so, how did you get on? I only got one result correct. The rest of them, a few were close, some were well off. So I only got one result right. If you haven't played golden goals this weekend, it's okay because Champions League this week, it's available. It's also available every single match week in the Premier League. Get it downloaded now. It's free. You don't have to deposit any money. It's free to play. And if you predict 6 correct scores, you win £2 million tax-free money. If you don't get all 6 right, but you still get the most amount right of everybody playing the game, you're guaranteed 5,000. You go into the pot for £5,000. If you get 5 right and nobody else does, you get $5,000. But it's all 6, it's £2 million. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the comment section or the description below. Go check out Golden Goals. It's an amazing game. I love it. Lee, when Kai Havertz scored, I'm not celebrating his goal. F him. I like Lee, but that's why Arsenal fans question. He said that. Wow. I'm not celebrating his goal. No way. I respect the super chat. I cannot believe he said that. How can you not be happy that your team just went top of the league? And look, I understand he doesn't like Kai Havertz, but I have asked Lee this question before, and this isn't me calling him out. I'll ask him this question to his face on Tuesday. Again, I asked him once, like, what would Kai Havertz have to do to make you like him? And I think he said there's nothing he can do, which I don't understand. And I'm going to re-question him on that because I can't understand. It's not personal. It's football. So there must be something a player that you don't like can do to make you like them. And generally, I thought that would be score goals and win you games, right? But no, that's crazy if true. Ramsdale was very poor today. We were lucky. Look, you certainly got away with one with that poor part. Not even pass. He lost possession of the ball. Declan Rice saved the day in that moment, and you got away with one. There's no doubt. And he was poor. At the same but Declan Rice saved you. So what I would say about that is this. I get you look at his we nearly conceded, but Declan Rice, that's why he tips everybody else and gets man of the match today. He saved it off, he cleared it off the line. So as bad as the mistake was from Ramsdale, the clearance from Declan Rice and reading the game the way she did is equally as good. So I feel like it balances things out, in my personal opinion. Terry, can you please explain that offside to me, please? The ball came back off the keeper last, or have they changed the rules? It is off. Listen, the lines are the lines. It is offside, I believe. So it's only if an outfield player makes a deliberate attempt to play the ball, it would make the player in the second phase onside. The goalkeepers don't count. I think it's only outfield players, I believe. If the lines say, I mean, me personally, I thought it looked offside. When the first still frame, he looked ahead of the ball for me. But yes, I think it can be saved by the goalkeeper. Another Arteta substitute that wins it. And again, if people criticize him for his substitutes having no impact, how can you not be happy when they do? That would tell me you have an agenda. Frustrating game, but Arsenal way more controlled this season than last year. 29 for the win. Come on, you Gooners. Brentford away is tough. Ted, a hug. Listen, I'll give you a hug if you were here, mate, and say well done and congrats. Come on, you Gooners. Love my bro, Terry. Thank you, Luke Skywalker. I appreciate that. Panel time now. We're going to bring Jason, Gunnar Souls, and Saad out on the show now to have their say with us. Make sure like buttons have been hit if you haven't done so already. And of course, as I say, you can do it now at the end of the show, but there's 7,000 of you watching. I want you to go and check out Golden Goals. It is only available in the UK, and you do have to be 18 years old or above. You have to be, but go and sign up to play for that. It's going to be an amazing game. It's going to feature on a lot of our shows over the festive period. But Souls is here with us. Saad is here. Jason is here as well. Congratulations, gents. I've actually realized I didn't have the right overlay on that whole time as well. I've just changed it now. But congratulations on the win. An interesting game, Souls.
It's your boy.
I can't hear you, bro. You're not on mute, but we can't hear you. Try going out and coming back in, bro. And see how that works. Saad, an interesting game for you today. Hard fought, but then a last-minute winner from the much-maligned Kai Havertz. Talk to me.
Firstly, I can't lie. I was shameless in my watch-along when I was singing the song. I was shameless. I was dancing. I was screaming Kai Havertz's name. But I think with this win, yes, it's great that we ended up winning the game, and I think this is papering over a lot of cracks because we are still not creating enough chances to be able to win games comfortably. I don't feel like we created enough chances today. I don't feel like it was as fluid as we should have been. I actually wanted us to start this way. I wanted us to have Trossard in the midfield. That was my go-to starting 11. But it didn't go the way I thought it would have gone because I was kind of relaying it back to the Barcelona game where we played in pre-season, where we actually did have Trossard in the midfield. Now, yeah, like I said, not creating enough chances, not clinical enough. I think this was one of Martinelli's worst games I've ever seen him have. It was just he wasn't able to get anything on that left side. Same with Saka, wasn't able to get much on that right side. But yeah, again, Saka has a terrible game and then still manages to pull out a assist again. So it shows that even when Saka is having one of his worst games, he can still pull out that assist at the end of the day. And yeah, other than that, Ramsdale, I think he's done at the club. I genuinely think he's finished. There's no way back for this guy. I think he has no confidence. He lacks confidence. He just, I feel like he's done. Maybe in the summer they're probably going to get rid of him. I don't know, but I don't feel like Ramsdale can really put on the shirt again because I don't feel like he has the confidence within himself. Like I'm all up for giving him chances and that, but I just don't feel like he's confident enough because in that first half, I saw a player that was defeated. Every time he'd get the ball, he'd take too much time on it. He wouldn't. I expect us to pass the ball straight away. And yeah, it's great that we're top of the league. You know, I'm happy that we're top of the league, but I feel like it's papering over a lot of cracks at the moment. And I think just overall, us passing the ball, I want us to pass the ball a bit quicker. I feel like we're way too slow on the ball. We're not, because that if you look at the Liverpool game, that's how Liverpool beat Brentford so easily. They were passing the ball very quickly, passing the ball around them, not letting them get a chance to get back into shape. But listen, Brentford are a great team at holding their defensive shape. We know this. And I always said going into this game, I thought it was going to be a 1-0. I didn't think we were gonna smash them or anything. But yeah, overall happy with the Kai Havertz goal. He had to be there to score it. So
yeah, of course. And I hear you. I hear for that. We'll come on to Ramsdale a little bit later. We'll talk about the game first of all, per se. Egal, Kai Havertz stepped up, grabs the winner, and at least for 7 days, he's probably going to have people off his back.
You know what, Terry? This was a game where we needed somebody to take the game by the scruff of the neck and try to win it for us, or try to get something done for us. And in the last couple minutes, probably people were starting to lose faith. But Mikel Arteta had faith in Kai Havertz to come on and be a difference maker, where some people were probably looking at him when he came on and they'd be like, what is he going to do? What is he going to bring to the table? I didn't even know Bukayo Saka got the assist. I just remembered he's the one that played the ball to Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz gets the header. And this was a game where we don't only credit Kai Havertz for the victory, we credit Zinchenko for the victory, for making that goal line clearance. We credit Declan Rice for the victory, for making that goal line clearance in the first two, for the first two chances that they had. Because let's be honest, we were lucky that we were even 0-0. I don't know if my camera's slow or anything, but hopefully it's not. But I thought Brentford were the better side for majority of the game. They had the better opportunities. We made our own mistakes. We could have easily been 2-0 down before we scored that goal. But I'm very happy for Kai Havertz. I'm very happy for the boys. They pulled out the 1-0 victory. We needed this. Pressure was on us because City just dropped points. Liverpool dropped points. This was our opportunity to go top of the table. And I thought we were going to buckle, but we didn't. We got through it. And I need to see more from these guys. You can't give us these kind of heartaches. Come on. We need to see better performances offensively, but I'm not going to take away from the fact that I'm happy as a fan. I'm happy that we got through this game. I'm more excited to see what we can do going forward, but there's a lot of worrying signs. Even though we got the victory, there's a lot of worrying signs in why is it that we're not creating enough chances? Why is it that we're not doing enough in the final third? Why is it that we're having a 50-50 basketball game with Brentford? I thought even though they're playing a low block, we were able to break through it once, but it was ruled offside. We weren't able to do it again throughout the rest of the game. Luckily, we got that win. We got the winner at the end. But boy, I'm just more excited about the what?
There's a question on that.
Kai Havertz.
I get that. The 2 times you broke their defensive line open and put the ball in the back of the net was when it was a couple of touches around the edge of the box and you just got the ball in. Do you think sometimes it's a case of you're almost, and this was labelled at Wenger's Arsenal a lot, you're almost trying too hard to score the perfect goal when what might be easier is just get the ball down one touch, get it in the box. You know, the old-fashioned saying, get it in the mixer. We can see 100%. You, bro. It's all fine.
100%, Terry. I feel like that whole issue with our attack this year has been we're trying to do too much sometimes. Just keep it simple. Go back to the basics. Take shots when need be. Take risks. Just get it in there. Because obviously, when the pressure's on and we need to create chances and we need to get a goal, we're able to create these chances. It's just earlier in the game we grow into the game too much and we don't have that level of intensity. And we were too slow today. I don't know about you guys, but that first half was just, we skated by. We were just trying to, we were just being lackluster. Honestly, Terry, I think the intensity increased when we needed to chase that goal. Last year, we had that intensity from minute 1. This year, we seem to only get that intensity at the end of games. And it might be by design, so we don't burn each other out, burn ourselves out. But I would love to see more intensity to start the game where we can maybe get onto teams and bury the game in the first couple of minutes like we did last year.
I hear you on that, and Souls. We'll talk about other points, but in terms of, we'll come back to that talking point a little bit later. I suppose. I want to get everyone's take. Like, what was your thoughts on the overall performance today, and how happy are you with the 3 points and being back top of the league?
Hey, my guy comes through and scores. That's what I'm gonna say. Because Kai Havertz was a guy I got so criticized for backing and saying to people, if you actually watch the game, he's not been that bad. He's not been the problem for me. He's actually learning the role and he's actually progressively getting better. And now he obviously goes and wins the game. He becomes the hero for Arsenal, puts us on top of the league. And for me, this is going to be the great confidence boost that he needs to keep moving forward. But when you're looking at the overall game, For me, the lineup was wrong because when you look at Brentford and you look at the overall Premier League, they're showing us too much respect. So what do? You don't go put out players, too many technical ballers. You sometimes need height and the physicality. And that to me was lacking today. Trossard, yes, he's a technically good footballer. Jesus, another good technical footballer. But like you said, Tori, the 2 times we broke them down was when we whipped the ball in and we put a header on. Kai Havertz, for me, was the perfect opportunity to play him in this game because he likes getting at the end of things. That's what we needed to be doing more of. And I feel, for me, Arteta still hasn't grasped the concept that we're respected and that we are a threat to the Premier League in terms of wanting to go win it. And I don't think he's quite understood that teams aren't going to come out like last season. We beat Brentford 3-0 last season quite comfortably with a rotated 11 because they didn't respect us the same way they do now. Teams haven't been putting 9 men behind the ball up until this season. Well, actually, even later stages of last season. So he needs to understand that he needs to make these changes far quicker than he's doing. I actually said Havertz needed to come on. Someone like him needed to come on about 20 minutes before he did. And as soon as he comes on, the game changes. There's another threat. There's another outlet. Saka has the ability to make that cross. The problem is there's no one there to actually cross the ball to. So what are they going to do? Just whip it into empty space? Jesus was on the right, on the left, Trossard right, left, Martinelli right, left, Saka right, left. No one was in the centre. And even when they were hesitant. They weren't willing to pull the trigger. And it's like we've somehow, instead of giving goal bonuses, it's like if you don't score, you get a bonus. The less shots you take, you get a bonus. It's like we've become counterproductive to our attacks. And that's the problem I've had all season. Not just, this game. And I've been calling it out all season that, yes, these 1-0s, 2-0s, last-minute winners, they're brilliant as a fan, but they're going to cost us soon. And we need to start clicking into gear and showing our performances. It's good enough like, okay, Bournemouth we beat 4-1, we beat PSV 4-0 or whatever it was. But these performances are far between. And it's, for me, not good enough yet. But like you said, Odegaard can get better. Saka can get better. Martinelli can get better. We've seen them do more. And also, January is a big opportunity for us to go and get a killer because we don't have one. We're too nice when it comes to the attack. We need someone who's just going to be, I don't give a shit. I'm scoring 6 goals against you today. And that's what we're missing. We need that player who's just hungry for goals.
I hear you on that. There's a super chat here that I want to bring up. I'm going to go to all of you on it, but I want to go to Nathan first. It says, Arsenal's attack is not great. Do Arsenal fans feel confident with these types of wins? For Arsenal fans, is this play sustainable to win a title? What's your thoughts on that, Nath?
Yeah, the attack isn't great in a minute, and it kind of links in with the question you asked earlier to Egal about why we're not scoring, right? And I don't agree with Egal's answer in regards to we're trying to do the old Arsene Wenger thing. I think it's more related to how, one, we're too slow. I think there's been more of an emphasis on control. So I feel like players are taking less risks than they were last season. I think last season there was more freedom. They were kind of expressing themselves a lot more and able to just kind of float into different areas, where now they're very much kind of set on, we don't want to concede, we don't want to give away chances to the other team. And obviously that shows with our defensive record at the minute. And then the third thing is the midfield imbalance for me. I feel like you can see even from the starting lineup with Trossard now being moved into the 8 that we don't have really a solid foundation midfielder. We actually haven't really replaced Granit Xhaka or found the balance since that midfield of last season. And that what happens is we end up going into, we struggle to pick up areas a lot more quicker, and when we are in them areas, we struggle to create. And I think it's a problem that could be addressed in January, and it's something that hopefully, for me, I'd probably focus more on a midfielder than a striker, because if we're saying we don't even create that much and our players are struggling to create, even if we get a potent striker, I still feel we'll have the issues of controlling games and creating chances. So yeah, at the moment, I think it's just about grinding until January and hopefully being within, still in that title race, and then strengthening that midfield and being able to kind of dictate and kind of dominate and create chances from there and find our attackers a lot more quicker. So that's just, yeah.
I hear that. Like, what's your thoughts on that, Jason? Where's your head at with this talking point?
I don't know. I think the attack is the issue this season. Like I can't really see Saka this season. Martinelli's not on it. 1 goal in 14 games. It's just been a worry. And like, the amount of crosses that is in the box, no one's here. And Eddie and Kitty are coming on. It's just not it. To be honest, there's no balance. There's no chemistry there. I really, it's compared to last season. I feel like this. I think the new way of Arteta playing. I think like the attackers are more restricted. I feel like they're more restricted in their game. That's all I feel, to be honest.
Well, that's essentially what Nathan is saying there, isn't he? That they're taking less risks. But just I mean, to compare it, I mean, I didn't look at this. You've scored 27 goals so far this season. Just going back to after 13 games last year. Sorry, the draw box is weird because the game was cancelled. You scored this is what I would say is interesting. So after 13 games last year, you'd only scored 4 more goals. So what I find interesting is 4 goals over 13 games. It's not a huge amount. It's not a colossal drop-off. And I do think, you've missed some chances and you've been unlucky with some goals as well. You've conceded 1 less goal as well. So defensively, you've got better. From an attacking point of view, yeah, you're 4 goals worse off than you were like at this stage last year, right? But then you look at Man City, they're 6 goals worse off than they were last year, and nobody's talking about their football. Like, I'm not saying there aren't elements to be concerned about. I'm not saying there aren't elements to focus on and say, well, that needs to be better, this needs to be better. But it's not as though you've gone from scoring 31 goals at this stage last year to being like where Man United are this season and being on 12, 13, 14 goals, and you're not. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, and I'm not emotional like you guys.
I really feel like the creative.
You know what it is, Terry? Sorry. You know what it is, Terry? I think the difference is that this season we've scored a lot of goals from penalties and set pieces, for instance. Whereas obviously last season we were creating a lot more from open play. So when we are struggling to score from set pieces or penalties, we don't create as much in open play. And I think that's where the criticism comes into play. So it's not about necessarily scoring goals overall. I think it's more creating and scoring chances from open play.
Yeah. But you know what? I want to ask a question here. I've got a gal first on this. Last season, I remember a lot of people saying, wait until teams respect Arsenal and start sitting back. And it was used as a criticism. And it was used as a bit of a talk, like a stick to beat you over the head with. But more teams are sitting back. They know what you can do. It is harder to play it. I watched it every time Martinelli had the ball, he was doubled up upon. And look, he's a good player. Is he Messi and going to dribble past 2 or 3 players every time? No, he isn't. Again, I'm only looking at it from the outside in. I knew you were going to score today. I swear, I wish you guys were in this my studio with me. I'm sitting there going, they're going to win this game. I didn't even feel nervous for you. I just felt like it was coming and you were going to get that opportunity and that chance. But I do understand it. When it's your club, it's different. But Egal, is this just because teams are sitting back, playing deeper against you, playing low blocks, making it harder for you to break them down, on top of maybe your team being a little bit more sensible with the ball?
It's expectations. Expectations have changed. We're expected to beat teams like Brentford a lot easier now that we're challenging for the league. We beat them last year. So really and truly, I say expectations more than anything else. Last season, we didn't have as high expectations. So when we win these kind of games, people are not going to be like, oh, people were more or less shocked or somewhat surprised by us continuously getting results. Now it's expected when we have even a shaky performance like today, people don't look at the fact that we won the game and we end up getting the 1-0 victory. They're more or less going to look at the overall performance and going to say, oh, can Arsenal continue to get away with it? But the thing is, no 2 games are the same. This team, let's be honest, our attack is just finally getting healthy, right? This is not a convincing performance from our attack, but let's cut them a break. Mikel Arteta and these boys, the midfield we've been trying to figure it out for the longest time. So why do we give teams like Man City such a big leash? Because they have the history of showing they've done it. Until Arsenal gets over that line, people are going to criticize us harshly, Terry, and that's just the reality. I think as Arsenal fans, obviously we're going to be annoyed by the fact that we're not scoring more goals, but really and truly, if we're controlling more games, this might actually be more sustainable than us blowing teams out every game in the first 20 minutes. We're actually controlling the game more from minute 1 to the end.
Do you know what? I don't even think it's a lack of chances created. I just don't think we take our chances. Like in Nketiah, what an absolute idiotic thing to do, to try and shoot there when Saka could have been open goal.
100%.
There's other opportunities, like for example, Jesus takes on his man, and doesn't realize like the defender's on him when he's got no angles there. So
Selfish.
for me, there is the chances, but when it's like the bare basics we're not doing. It's like when we should have passed, we're shooting, and when we should be shooting, we're passing, and it's like we're not really making the right decisions all the time. But that's going to happen, obviously. We're not expecting these humans to be 100% perfect, but there are some glaringly like greediness and selfishness to the team. And I also do think there's an element of actually thinking the opposite to a lot of people. There's too much freedom given. And why I say that is because when you look at Gabriel Jesus, rather than being in the center when the wingers are trying to do their job, he's actually with them. And it's like, why is our striker sat next to Saka when he needs to cross the ball? There's no one there. If you're going to play that way, then you've got to get Trossard to go center, go into the middle, get Martinelli into the middle. You've got to overload. The issue is Xhaka was doing it really well last season. Martinelli was doing it really well last season. This season, there seems to be a positional unawareness to what people need to do. Like if Martinelli's got the ball, Saka, you overload, you help. Tomiyasu, you overload the box. That overload that we used to have last season is no longer there. That's why they can't just cross the ball. They can't just whip a ball in or play better football. And that to me is why I've been criticizing Arteta a lot more. And he's not understanding the positioning. He seems to have one way of playing, and he doesn't really want to.
But can I say one thing though? Do we not give these boys credit for having situations where the chips are down and they constantly keep finding solutions? Let's be honest. This team, even though we are not scoring as many goals as we were last season, even though we are getting goals from open play and penalties, we're putting ourselves in the right situation to get these goals. We're trying to build the right attitudes. We're not trying to, play depth. Obviously, there's times where we don't have our best games, like the Tottenham game and the Chelsea game. But overall, I'm seeing a level of consistency from our defensive performances that gives me more trust that we could build from this. Everyone keeps saying it's unsustainable to play this way. Guess what? You know what's unsustainable? When you're giving away too many chances defensively. Us not scoring the goals, we're getting the opportunities. We're just not finishing them.
I do think that there is I understand everybody wants utopia. So people want a team that is barely penetrated and a team that just rips everybody apart like a hot knife through butter. If you actually go through the history of just say English football, in case that's all you watch, and how many teams have consistently been like that, where they're impenetrable and they rip through people, and even like good Man United teams that won Premier Leagues weren't at that point. We could still be got at as an example. So it's been a handful of teams. Last season, and this is where I give Gary Neville a lot of credit. Last season, he said, I'm not backing Arsenal because they just concede too many opportunities. And he ended up being right. His mind has changed this year where he thinks you guys have got a much better chance because he doesn't see you conceding the level of opportunities that you did last year. And I also think, and I said it early on in this season, and I'm standing by this until it's proven wrong, but I also think there's an element of your team. I don't know how you would instruct this because I'm not a football coach. This is me as a fan looking. I think there's an element of don't go out there, and I'm going to use an expression that's probably a bit rude, but don't go and blow your load too early. Don't go out there and work at 100% from match day one for 90 minutes every single game. And by the time we, as in this would be what your manager would say, by the time we get to, in case someone clips me up for being a gooner, by the time Arsenal get to April, they're all burnt out. So I do think there's an element. I remember last year, and everybody was talking about, City looked slow at the beginning of the season. City looked slow. And in the second half of the campaign, they came alive. And everybody said, I think the manager instructs them to do that. Why is that suddenly some warped idea that Arteta... I don't think Pep invented that notion. I'm sure that he isn't the first sports person that said start slow, like coach, and said start slow and get better. A lot of boxers do it. A lot of boxers get better the longer a fight goes on because maybe they don't have great knockout power, so they want to be able to like win on points. So I think there's lots of different strategies that you can have. Like, Saad, from your point of view, are you worried though that you could fall off the edge of a cliff, or do you think that things will get even better from this point?
To be honest, going into this season, I said that the only difference between us and City is that City have won it before. That's the only difference. As to what's happening right now, the only difference is City have got their history to back them up, that even though they're playing like this, they will always come back. January, that's it. They're on. They know what they got to do. They know what their aim is. They're going in there for the win. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for them. But for us, we're going through a similar thing where we went through the whole season last season, going crazy from the start, scoring goals, winning games, and obviously towards the latter end of the season, we started to fall off a little bit. Then we've come into this season. I originally thought we'd come in and it wouldn't be as it was last season. We wouldn't start that high, given that we got rid of Xhaka, never replaced Xhaka. We bought in Kai Havertz, who was supposed to be the Xhaka replacement. They bought him in to be the Xhaka replacement. They wanted to play him in midfield. It didn't work out. So now we've got an empty position in that left 8, which we need to fill, which is, to be honest, the reason why I think that's the most important position for us to fill at the moment. But yeah, just looking at it, I don't think at the moment with the chance creation, it's sustainable for us to win a title at the moment. But I'm hoping that when we go into the market in January, we can bring that left 8 or that midfielder that can add that creativity. Because even yet again today, Odegaard was invisible. He did nothing today. So I need to find somebody that can unlock Odegaard again, that can help take some of that creativity weight onto him as well, and be like, yeah, listen, I'm going to create something as well, push the ball forward, so we're just pressuring the team, pressuring the defense, because we need to create chances. If we go and get a striker now and we don't get a midfielder, then that striker is going to be up top, and we're not going to that we create has decreased so much from last season. It's actually crazy. Last season we were in probably the top 3, top 4 for creating chances.
So I just looked at the stat now. So last season you finished 6th in the Premier League for big chances created.
Yeah.
And you had 73, which averages 1.9 per game. This season, you're averaging 1.5 per game. So it has dropped, and by the end of the season, that 0.3 will add up. But again, the drop isn't. I just don't think it's as significant as maybe you will feel it is. And that's and do you know why I think that is? I think it's because you're emotional about your football club. I think it's because
we don't take them.
Terry, it's where the
maybe, yeah.
We were a lot more clinical, in my opinion, last season. Every opportunity that we got, we didn't actually sit there and go, "Oh my God!" It's like now we're talking about Nketiah, like Jesus should have scored his header. Like we're talking about these big opportunities that were created being missed. Like Kai Havertz, for example, has missed plenty of opportunities as well. You know, Saka has missed a few opportunities. Martinelli has missed a few sitters where he should have made better decisions. That's the problem. I feel like we are doing the same, and this is why I keep saying we need a striker, because there's no outlet anymore. Like Jesus, as good as he's been and as good as he can be as a chance creator, there's no one there to just whip a ball into. And that's why I keep saying I don't think the 8 is the issue. I just don't think we've got anything that keeps these defenders, especially in a low block. If we can get someone like an Ivan Toney, a Vlahovic, or someone like a target man that can play on these defenders, especially the physical ones, it's going to bode as well. Saka, a lot of the time, looks up, no one's in the box, I have to pass back. Oh, what the hell are you doing there right next to me, Jesus? Do you want to hold my hand or something? You're meant to be in the box for me to whip it into you. So that's the problem.
I feel like 1 second. I feel like we're being very pessimistic here, guys. Let's take a second. Relax. We are 13 games in. Am I mistaken? 13 games in. 13 games into the Premier League table. A season where we're saying we don't look as good as last season. We're top of the table ahead of Liverpool and City, who've also started the season off very well. If you guys are telling me that we've been playing bad and we are top of the table, imagine when we click into gear, we might run away with this league title.
Yeah, I mean,
Jorginho.
I think you're looking at it from like
the way Egal turned that around is crazy.
Yeah, it is. No, look, we're not saying we're bad, but we're critiquing the team in terms of we're much better defensively, and everybody's praised our defense for that, right? And we're praising the team for how we defend. But we can also sit there and be like, well, as good as our defense is, every team that's won a Premier League, right, has had a good balance to it. They defend well, they attack well, they've got a solid midfield. So for us to come on here and critique the attack and even the midfield is a fair criticism, because that can hold us back moving forward, right?
But we're not looking at both sides. That's my point. We're criticizing, but we're not looking at the potential of this team. Jesus has not
how to get to that potential. We're not criticizing, like saying we're shit.
No, I get that. I'm trying to bring some balance to what I feel like is not we're not being balanced here. The reality is we're looking at the negatives, but nobody's actually looking at the fact that this team has not been together for too much. We have not seen Odegaard with Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli too often this season. We've not seen our best team too often this season. There's going to be injuries, and we're going to have to weather those injuries. But the reality is, the best is yet to come. We're making it seem like we've already seen the best of Arsenal, and there's only a decline going from here on out. That's not the
But just to
reality.
counter that,
It's
yeah,
early in
Egal.
the season. It's early in the season, and what's wrong with saying City can redevelop their whole team, Liverpool can redo their whole midfield and their attack, but Arsenal can't? Come on.
I hear on that.
We're allowed to have a
No,
go.
guys, I want to go to some. I think we have some good points on that. I want to go to some of these super chats that have come in here. This is K. I think it's Kai. Kai, hero of the night, back on the top of the table is what Pete means there. Thank you. If you support Arsenal, support all players. Saad from Lee Gunner. I haven't seen a clip yet, but I've just checked my WhatsApp. I've got about 20. I've got friends of mine that have nothing to do with YouTube going, bro, I just see Lee Gunner not celebrating a goal for Arsenal. What's going on? That is still mad. I've got to watch it to understand it though. No one goes to Brentford and wins comfortably. Resilient. Rice was a colossus. Lee's response to 29 is a disgrace. Get in the bin, troll, is what Jason says here. How was Brentford the better team? Barely had the ball, is what Act Fire's got to say here. I don't think Brentford were a better team than you guys tonight. I don't think that. Defensively, they were brilliant. But can someone explain why the offside line was drawn at the ball when it still showed again? So when two players are ahead of the defensive line, the offside is drawn from where the ball is. So the ball, you have to be behind the ball, not behind the play. You have to be behind the ball. So that's why it's drawn the ball, my friend. Havertz was interviewed live and Hargreaves asked his best position. He answered he doesn't know. Now, again, I haven't seen the interview, but he's going to say I don't know, because if he says up front and then the manager puts him in midfield, it opens up criticism. That is a media-trained answer, which you should expect from your players, because if he gives one that says something specific, then there's going to be issues. Look, the other day when Jesus said scoring goals isn't like what I'm great at, it opened up a can of worms. Your best answering it in a very ambiguous way. It's the right thing, in my personal opinion, to do. Kai is still shit, in my opinion, but glad he scored today. Fans underestimate opponents. Brentford have lost 3 of their last 23 home games. You're more sustainable, if anything. OOP.
Out of possession.
Out of possession defensively, you're phenomenal, but need an 8. 100%. I think it's a fair point. The goal is to win the league, not to look expansive. But it's, as a lot of us have always, it depends on who you are. I don't think anyone on this panel was doing it. I mean that as an outsider looking in. But as we all know, and as we have all seen, some people, if you go on to win the league this year, certain people that don't like Arteta will say, yeah, but we didn't do it in the right way. You just know that's coming because it's all about agendas. Losing Xhaka has had such an impact in that regard. I can understand that. 65 million well spent. Jules is a hypocrite. He custom praised the same players for the same reasons. Arsenal fans need to relax. Who's Jules?
I think he meant
I don't know who that is. Souls. Oh, okay.
I think he meant Souls.
I've never seen Souls really. He's slagged off Havertz when he's been bad, but he's overly backed him. I think you can do that. Arsenal will lose or draw their next 4 Premier League fixtures. Lose all of them. That's crazy. The Bees haven't lost a game at home since April last year. Not an easy place to go, and that's exactly the point. I did think Arsenal would score a couple more goals tonight. I did, but it's a hard place to go, and we've seen them just last year go to the Etihad and win. As a Man United fan, they have battered us a number of times and outplayed us many times. And we were lucky to beat them. It took 2 goals in the 92nd and 95th minute to beat them. So yeah, listen, I'm not sounding much better.
Terry, big up. But yeah, man, Arsenal fans enjoy this, man. Come on, enjoy it. We can talk about sustainability in 2 days' time.
There we go. There we go. I want to say as well, people, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you've signed up to Golden Goals. Make sure you're playing that game. Free to enter, free to play every single Premier League match day week and every single Champions League game night. If you predict all 6 scores correct, £2 million cash, tax-free in your pocket. Get signed up now. We want to get the QR code to 1,000 either the link clicked on or the QR code scanned at least 1,000 times during this show. We're on 855. So go and get that done now, people, and let's get it to 1,000. Arsenal had the most entries into the box. Yeah, Arsenal the better team. 60 million down the. Is that the song? Is it that you guys sing?
Yeah.
Is that the song about? Right. Okay. Cool.
That's it.
How is Terry the most level-headed gooner? I'm not exposing myself here, but I'm. My job is to play devil's advocate, and sometimes I'll question. Sometimes I'll question things from a positive outlook. Not that I believe it, but I want to get a conversation around it. Sometimes I question things on shows from a negative outlook. It's not because I believe in that negativity. So I want to get an opinion on it because it's being said. So as a host, of course, I'm here being balanced, because if a host isn't balanced, they shouldn't be doing the job. The more I listen to our fans, last season did more harm than good. Do you think within your fan base there's a little bit of PTSD?
Oh, yes, 100%, man. I've been having PTSD for 20 years. Like literally, the amount of like title runnings we had like throughout the last 20 years, man. I'm still having this PTSD. Like even this season, I feel like we're top of the league. Yeah, fair play, but Liverpool, Man City is still there, and we still have a chance to bottle it. 93.
I think it's also the fact that we're up against City. You know, like when you look at what City have done and over the last few years, and how much Liverpool have pushed them and failed to win the league, you know what it requires to beat them. So you're kind of hyper analyzing everything, and trying to make sure that there's you get every margin.
No, but then again, right? It's all about the right recruitment. The reason why we lost the title last year because we didn't sign the right players to actually get us over the line. And I feel like I question myself even this summer, even though we signed Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, there's not enough in the squad. There's not enough to push us to the next stage. Like we still need to sign a right winger to back up Saka, striker. We need two midfielders as well, because Declan Rice away from Jorginho and El Neni. There's a lot more problems than you think. Like that's the thing.
We got players to go out as well. We're going to be losing players in January as well for the Asian Cup and the African Cup of Nations. So there is going to be, obviously Thomas Partey is not part of our squad at the moment, but we're going to be losing Tomiyasu as well, who's a utility player in the defense.
Yeah, I've likened it before when the PTSD feeling, or the way you overanalyze. I think you're right, Nathan, is when you're out with your kids. If you guys don't have children, you won't understand this. When I hear other people's kids in restaurants make a little bit of noise, it doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. When it's my kids, my ears are it's like they're letting off a foghorn. But the problem, and if I say, God, be quiet, people are eating, everyone goes, no, it's fine, because you're hypersensitive to it. And I think we're like that with our own football club sometimes. We overanalyze, we overplay things, we exaggerate things in both good and bad directions at times, there's no doubt. Yes, not clinical in attack, but Arsenal are clinical in defense. This is true. Arsenal fans, defense wins leagues. We haven't lost one game due to controversy. We are top of the league. What more can we do? I think you had a few more goals to these games, and I don't see anyone moaning. I genuinely believe you start scoring a few more goals. Top of the league, not purring yet. Some of this panel are so pessimistic. Best defense, more control. Yet Egal's the sanest on the panel. What's happening, lol?
PTSD.
He's never been called sane. Arsenal were atrocious for 90 minutes. Very undeserving.
Nah.
I
don't think we necessarily created enough chances, but I don't think it was completely undeserving.
I mean, if we're to be fair, right? If we took a draw from that game, I wouldn't be sitting here thinking like we peppered their goal and we deserved to take 3 points. I think it was a game where we played poorly, but we still managed to get a result, and that's the thing I hold on to, which is, always has been a sign of a champion. You've seen that with the great Man United sides, the City sides, the Arsenal sides in the past. So that's what I take from the game.
I hear you on that. Jason here says, as a vet and someone who suffers with PTSD, because you're a vet, like I don't know this thing. Okay, pisses me off that folks use the term willy-nilly. I get it, but please. Do you know what I would say? That just funny. I was someone that would never use the word. I always used to reserve it for people that were in the armed forces. Until I heard I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he had a clinical psychologist on there and somebody else, and they spoke about it and said that there's no kind of threshold. There's no sort of threshold for what constitutes post-traumatic stress. Now, I don't think Arsenal fans are walking around in their day-to-day life stressed about Arsenal in that way. But I don't know about you, Jayton. I can speak for myself. Some of the most nerve-wracking moments of my life have been in an hour or two building up to a game and during a football match. Like some of the most stressful periods of my, and if you're someone who's gone through that a number of times and it always ends badly, I can understand why there's going to be pessimism. Now, maybe PTSD is the wrong phrase, but none of that's the only word we're all uneducated on this. So maybe there's a different phrase, a more mild version of that we should be using. So if there is, please let us know. Because it's, we're not, because I do think it's real. I do think people get a kind of nervousness, or they become really cynical or stressed out about situations that have gone through before. And if you've been an Arsenal fan for the last 20 years and you don't remember the good times, you've had a lot of this. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, my friend. And if we're wrong to use that word, I apologize. But find us a better one to use that relates to being stressed about something that we've previously been through before. Because that's what it feels like, but maybe we're wrong. Solid backline, pure control of the midfield. Only chances against was dealt with perfection. I really don't see why we are worried. More goals, and we are golden. Be patient and enjoy the ride.
Good stories from last season.
Vet as in Gulf War. Sorry, I'm so dumb. When you said vet, I thought you meant like, I get you now. I don't use that word for soldiers. Like I don't know what we use over here. I'll just say ex-military, I think, or ex-forces. But yeah, I apologize. But I understand where you're coming from, my bro. I do. How can I get in touch with KJ to get on the panel? Go on to just DM me on Twitter and I'll forward it to him. So just at Terry Flewers on Twitter, real quick, real easy. Guys, we're closing in on 1,000 scans on that QR code, please, to go and get that done either now or at the end of the show. Gents, just before we go, I want to ask you all, Declan Rice, another top-class performance today, Saad. How impressed have you been with this £100 million signing?
I think he's worth every single penny. Every single penny. Listen, I said it before, I'll say it again. Every single time this guy's on the pitch, he drops man of the match performances. The only bad game that I've seen him have is the one against Manchester United in the preseason. That's the only bad game that I've seen Declan Rice have for us. Apart from that, he's always trying to get involved, controlling the midfield as well himself. Sometimes I feel like he can do a bit too much. You know, when one player is trying to do too many things at the same time, or trying to do too many people's jobs at the same time, I feel like he can do that sometimes. But that's probably just the inner captain in him that just comes out and says, you know what? I got. Let me carry the slack for this guy. Let me carry some of the slack for this guy when he's not up to par. But listen, another great performance from him, and yeah, like you said, he was key to that goal that we scored, obviously with Kai Havertz. And yeah, I couldn't be more happy. I'm so happy that he's in our team and he's here to stay, man. He could be the future captain of our club. So I'm so happy, so happy.
Yeah, boy, it's hard to follow up on that, but yeah, no, I feel the same way. He's a leader of men. He stands up. He always makes himself present. You always feel his presence within the game. Even in the midfield, which I've criticised for not being fully functional, I feel like he's given us, a 7, 8 out of 10 consistently, and he pushes the team on. He tracks back. He tries to push forward, and there's still aspects of his game which can get better, which is, the positive thing from as an Arsenal fan. But overall, I think it's been an outstanding signing, and I've actually been surprised at how well he's been able to do, even with the likes, even without Partey being there. And when you think about it, 2 or 3 of the midfield that are in there are new players, so there is no real synergy within that midfield. But he still shines, and he's always the player that stands out. So for me, I think he set a really high bar for us, and it's exciting to see where he can take it.
100 million well spent. I'm telling you, like, this guy, he's one of the reasons why we're top of the league. Like, controlled games. I pray to God he doesn't get injured at all, because we have to suffer from Jorginho or Elneny. But this guy, I like, whenever he plays, it gives me that a little bit of comfort and like confidence. that control of the games, that's the most important thing, and he does it perfectly from that center number 6 role, and the way he drives to the box as well, getting other players involved. Sensational signing, 100 million. Like, I can't question anything. Well spent though.
Yeah, listen, I think I said it in top, I think he's been absolutely out of this world. Very, very jealous indeed. Tevin here says, respect to the vet. I understand you not liking the term, but unfortunately PTSD is a clinical condition not exclusive to war trauma. All love though. I actually Googled it to see, and according to the NHS website, it just says that PTSD is a bracket, like an overarching kind of bracket comment, not exclusive to what they say they call combat stress. So I get it. I'm not meaning to cause any offense by saying it, but I have PTSD from thinking I had a heart attack. Now, it's not something I talk about too publicly too often, but whenever I get like pains and stuff in my chest, I can get to a point where I'm at the stage where I'm very ready. I'm in like panic mode. I'm ready to call ambulances because I think I'm about to have one again. And mine's all physical based. So I've actually got a really bad trapped nerve on this side of my body. So if I have a day where like the left-hand side of my body is all locked up and I've got chest pains, that triggers me into even though I know what it is, I can't stop my brain from saying you're about to die of a heart attack. So my doctors have said that's PTSD from the stress of originally thinking I was about to die. So I get where you're coming from, and I don't wish to disrespect anybody and what they're suffering with at all. But much love to everybody. Like, I want to thank everybody. I am getting better, but a few people saying, "Are you okay?" I am, by the way, and I am getting better. It just takes time because you can't switch it on and off. It's a weird one. Strangely, when I'm out, like in nature, it goes away completely. When I'm out and about doing stuff, it's just like I go for a walk in the woods, it goes, and I never get anything. So there's something in that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Anyway,
I think nature's a place that can clear your head. I think
that's true. It's great. Yeah, I went for a walk this morning about 6:30 and walked into this field, and there was all these, literally about 150 deer in there. And I sat and watched them for like 45 minutes. And the whole time I felt no stress. It was lovely. It was great. But look, I want to thank everyone for coming on the show. I want to thank everyone who's hit the like button, everyone who subscribed. I want to thank everybody that super chatted. You guys are so amazing for the football terrace. You really, really are. Please, if you want to play Golden Goals, download the BetMGM app right now. It's basically £2 million a week you could win if you predict the 6 scores correctly. If you fall short of that because you don't get all 6 right, you do go into the prize pot of £5,000 for basically getting the most right before that. So go and check it out. Until next time, people, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.